belts, touch all your connections, touch your Hans. Just make sure you get everything like you want it.
Well, good evening, Sigma race fans. We are here for race number 6 of 26 in the Sigma ARCA series, as we will tangle here in the Pacific Northwest at Portland for the Green Earth 100. Rolling into tonight's race, you've got Jonah Burridge is the current points leader, with Ralph Oberstadt and Finley Herwig your top 3. And so, to no further ado, let's get going with the starting lineup here, as it looks like Tasha Wright and the 83 here of Stephen Miller start on the front row. Behind that, you've got Finley Herwig coming out from Dover last race to win, and now showing up with a top 5 start here at the road course, alongside newcomer Chris Jeremio. Hopefully I didn't butcher the name there. Newcomer, first race out in this ARCA series. We'll see how he does. Qualified well. Then you have Ralph Oberstadt and Craig Bush, Casey Klein and Campbell Marsh, Brandon Butler II with Ryan White, Craig Popkris and Heen Clutchoke, Alex Sanvital and Timothy Buchanan, Taylor Cording and Santi Messi, Carlos Eduardo and Joseph Hayes, Ray Marcus and Kaylee Sheets, Chase Kovacic and Hank Scorpio, Sophie Harwick and Violet Void. We saw some glimmers out of Violet Void for the first couple of races. It's been a little harder for her to find the front of the field as of late. Hoping maybe to turn things around here. Starting deep in the field, though, to do so. Shy Turtle and Jonah Burridge, Billy Lovejoy and Jamison Thole, Cassie Perkins and Joao Vitor, Kyle Ottawa and Donovan Heist, Chasey Plays and Matthew Hubert, Dylan Smith and AJ Kosnoff, Evan Snake and Wormy Wormington, Drew Clue and Bailey Parker, with Ace Vaden and Johnny Blaney rounding out the tail end of the field here. 54 laps, just a hair over 100 miles, rounded up to the next mile afterwards. And so, 54 laps, Sigma Racing style with the ARCA cars. Here we go, green flag waving, and they roar on into the treacherous turn 1. Miller gets pushed a little wide there, and the newcomer trying to make it 3 wide for the lead right out of the gate. Just like that, your newcomer to the series, the 02 of Chris Jaramillo, takes the lead away from your 2 pole setters. I can see the cameras are not very favorable here at Portland, so we're just going to have to find the best angle at the given time where we can. Yellow flags are disabled at road courses, as is usual here in Sigma Racing, where if it's ground-shakingly terrible wreck, we might throw the caution, or if it's deemed that there's substance down on the racetrack, we'll throw a caution. But it's pretty much wide open racing from start to finish at these road courses with very little breaks in between. Wow, Chris Jaramillo and his first career start, leading his first career lap here at Portland. It's not very often that you see someone roll out of the gates with a lead lap in their first career lap turned. Chris Jaramillo did just that. Qualified third and made it 3 wide in turn 1. Often it's the case you ought to, make the move early because it gets harder as the road course races go along. So attack early and drive away with what you've got. So it looks like we had a wreck, including potentially teammates there, the 00 and the 77. That is Willow Racing. Let us figure out how this carnage happened here. May have been in turn 1, but we'll have to see. Chase Kovacic. Oh, he gets bunched up. There's a case of the ARCA brakes going on right there. Three wide as you've got Craig Popkris in the middle there. Ooh, and teammates. Wow, there might be a talking to amongst teammates there. That looked like it could have been avoidable. And so Kovacic taking out his teammate. Man, Willow is not going to be very happy about that one. I can understand Kovacic trying to hold his line there and not go into the grass, but I don't think he heard his spotter. Maybe the spotter didn't see that the situation was 3 wide, and maybe he should have let out of the throttle instead of causing 2 Willow Racing cars to get knocked out early here. Wow. So back to the lead again. Chris Jaramillo with fastest lap so far. If we're racing in NASCAR's regular system right now, we'd be giving out a bonus for the fastest lap. We don't do that here in the Sigma ARCA series. There was one year that we did that in the Sigma Cup series just a couple years back, but not likely that we'll see that return. But who knows, maybe it could happen. As they've all singled out from the front to the back, I think now would be a good time to catch up with the field as they run. So you do have Chris Jaramillo followed by Stephen Miller and Tasha Wright, your top 3. Then you've got the 18 of Craig Bush, the 99 of Campbell Marsh, Ryan White, and Finley Herwig. Keeping it up with those 7th place runs. We've seen him put together quite a few 7ths. He ended up getting that win finally at Dover last race out. So maybe reverting back to his 7th strategy to keep running 7ths. We'll see. Jonah Burridge in 8th. Brandon Butler the 2nd in 9th. And then Heen Clutchoke rounds out your top 10. Santi Messi 11th. Casey Klein in 12th. And then it looks like Ray Marcus in 13th. Or actually, my bad, Timothy Buchanan, another black and red car. Got the two mixed up. He's running in 13th. Joseph Hayes, 14th. Craig Popchris, 14th. Which one did I say mistakenly was Craig Popchris? Well, maybe I was... I'm going crazy, folks. I thought I named Craig Popchris earlier, and then he popped up again. He rounds out your top 15. Taylor Cording, Kaylee Sheets, a pair of chicks. A trio of chicks, actually, as you got Sophie Harwick right behind those two. Shy Turtle in 19th. Alex Sanvital. Now you got Ray Marcus, Jamison Thole, Billy Lovejoy, Hank Scorpio, Dylan Smith, Joao Vitor. Your current points leader, Jonah Burridge, deep in the field here at Portland, 27th overall. 54 laps. We should see at least a cycle of pit stops, so who knows how that's going to shake it up. But your points leader's got a big hole to climb out of here. Cassie Perkins, Donovan Heist, Wormy Wormington, AJ Kosnoff, Chasey Plays, Drew Clue, Matthew Huber, Johnny Blaney, Paley Parker, Ace Vaden, Kyle Ottawa. Carlos Eduardo looks like he ended up in a wreck too, so we might miss a situation here where he was involved. Oh, that was, okay, that was right. He was involved in lap 1, turn 1 bunch up here. And in the meantime, the two retirements is none other than the Willow Racing 77 and 00. New fastest lap, though, here around lap 6. You got Tasha Wright, who just turned the fastest lap, and she's running in 3rd. So Chris Jaramillo has led the first 6 laps in his series debut, driving the number 02 Target Chevrolet SS. We will get to see him in the USA Trucks East once they get back into racing action next month. We will watch them tangle at Homestead. So we'll go to Miami for the next Trucks East race, and you'll get to see Chris Jaramillo take over the seat that we all know to have been Aunt Me Person since 2022. Aunt Me Person decided to focus wholeheartedly on his Cup endeavors. And with that, this new up-and-coming star, he gave an opportunity to get out there and race in some great equipment. And just like in this ARCA series, he's in a Calvin Steel Racing number 02, so it's pretty good equipment to begin with here. Don't really know the background on this driver, but came around in the Sigma League and wanted to give it a whirl. And here we are watching him lead his first career race right out of the gate. That's a story that I'd sign up for every time. Getting the driver in their debut. Showing some muscle too. He went 3 wide on lap 1, turn 1 to get the lead. And he's holding it pretty steady right now. I mean, while we have kind of a lull in the racing action right now, let's go back so we can show the viewers turn 1, lap 1. Jaramillo was 3rd as your 2 pole setters. And this ain't a great view, but we'll just roll with it for now and try again on the spectator cam. 3 wide through turn 2, and he had the advantage on that inside line, and that's all she wrote. Tasha Wright, Steve Miller didn't really have much of a chance. Jaramillo even gave Miller quite a bump there as it got the 83 car loose, and they rolled through. And man, it's been smooth sailing so far for the number 02 car. But it looks like the 83 starting to close the gap just a little bit here. Might get interesting. This could be a battle brewing. This could be getting interesting really quick here as that 83 turning quicker laps to the 02. Chris Jaramillo just turned a 122.2. Stephen Miller just turned a 121.7. A little bit further back, Tasha Wright with a 122.1. So everyone just a little bit faster than the leader right now. That is definitely one of the more charming thing about road courses is people in different levels of tire degradation. You start to see those that are really good at saving tires start to come to the front. Those that might not be so good at saving tires start to drop to the back. Don't have quite enough laps in to really see the balance. But 10 laps is a pretty good way to gauge just who's good out of the gates on saving those tires. Jaramillo's doing a good job right now, but I think that 83's got a little bit more tread on those Goodyears. Whoops, I had my mute on backwards and I didn't realize that I'd been talking into a muted mic. But yeah, this keeping it interesting here. The 83 of Stephen Miller trying to catch up to the rookie Jaramillo. It's about the closest he's been in a while. It seems like the O2's got some strong suits on different stretches of the track, whereas the 83 has the other half of the track where he's got the advantage on the O2. Based on how Jonah Burridge is doing tonight, could be a little bit of a shakeup in the total point standings. Looks like Burridge even lost a spot there back to 27th, or rather 28th, as Cassie Perkins got around him for 27th. So, if that's the case and we have Jonah Burridge deep in the field, Ralph Oberstadt, who's running 8th right now, could potentially take the points lead, since Finley Herwig would not gain enough points to get past him here with a 7th. Finley, wow, actually it could be close to a tie. Finley is 2 points behind Ralph Oberstadt. And the way that the points are staggered here, that could be either a 2-point swing where he's running one spot against Ralph Oberstadt, or it could be more than 2 points. We'll see. That helps tremendously if Brandon Butler gets past the 78 here of Jonah Burridge. That helps tremendously for Finley Herwig. This would be a time where I wish I had the points that you could gain right in front of me on a piece of paper so that I could actually reference that. But there you go, Jonah Burridge under attack. This could help Finley Herwig with some very well needed points to grow his buffer against the 78 car. So for example, a win gets you 71 points. With led most laps, that's like a max points day. So 70 points if you're able to win. If we look back to 28, that's as good as 17 points. 17 versus 7th place, if Finley Herwig finished 7th, would only be gaining about 30 points on his 51-point deficit. So Jonah Burridge is really going to have to drop the ball further for that to be a factor. But if anything, the points battle looks like it is going to tighten up significantly here tonight with the struggles from Jonah Burridge. The O2 continuing to apologies. The O2 continuing to lead over the 83. And Tasha Wright not too far in the background. Just so you all know, I was trying to stifle a sneeze and it turned into a cough, so. And I hadn't muted the mic, but we keep rolling. Portland is a very fun, kind of a short track of road courses because it's got some long stretches and it's got its little technical turns as well. But it feels so jam-packed, close quarters. It always presents itself for great racing. It'd be nice if one day they could actually have the Cup cars come race here in real life. I know the Xfinity Series comes here to Portland along with IndyCar. But, man, wouldn't it be cool if they could somehow get the Cup guys to come race here. I think the ultimate problem would be the hauler space. It's kind of hard to get haulers in and out of Portland. I could imagine pit road would be a little tougher situation for the Cup cars. That's usually why when they bring the Xfinity cars here, it's a non-competitive pit stops for the at least last couple years, I remember. NR2003, we don't have to worry about none of that BS because the game functions on its own engine. And I know there's probably criteria and regulations that they try to enforce to have the same experience, the same luxuries for all the pit crews when they go to a track and perhaps maybe Portland does not offer enough amenities for a Cup Series race to be hosted. But if they continue to run the Xfinity and IndyCar, the track might get a little richer. It might get a little bit more spending money, and they can maybe upgrade the infield, maybe upgrade the facilities so that they could host a Cup race someday. We'll see. Very stereotypical road course race so far. More so follow the leader. I do like what I'm seeing at the front of the field, that the leader has not been able to just drive away with it yet. Stephen Miller might try to use pit strategy to his advantage later in this race. Obviously, we know all too well about the undercut-overcut scenario. And I think we saw that play out in the Cup race last night, where Al Bunch undercutted a few too many times at Fontana and had to pit with 10 laps to go, costing him ultimately a chance at the win. Road courses just a little different, as that could be the difference of a bigger gap on the racetrack. If you're out there on old tires, you're obviously turning slow laps. Fall off here at Portland not as immense, so it's not the trickiest road course on strategy. There's a lot more road courses out there that have grittier surface that make pitting essential in the right time window. Especially with this being a 100-mile race, that window is pretty small and very selective as to when and who will make their pit stop first, and the difference on track time as it would compare. Oh, Stephen Miller made a bit of a mistake there as the 0-2 starting to really stretch it out. He might fall into the grasps of Tasha right there for third. I was just about to talk about the 83 there and his season so far. Stephen Miller has only made a few starts. He hasn't started the entire season. He missed the first couple races, but has looked stout. He's all the way up into 30th in the points already, whereas he's had a 15th, a 21st, and a 2nd, and he's given the rest of the field an extra 2 races ahead of him, as he didn't start when the season started. So if he keeps going in the direction he's going, he could start finding his way up towards the front of this title battle someday within the year. Obviously, as we know, there is no gimmicks. There's no playoffs in the Sigma ARCA series. It's a full season points tally from start to finish. And so that makes it a little harder, as Stephen Miller won't really have a crutch to fall back on getting into a chase or getting into a playoff scenario. But all he's got to do is continue this hot ride that he's rolling and put together great finishes en route to what could potentially be a championship battle by the end of the year. Well, as we're approaching lap 20 of 54 here tonight, that'll leave us with 34 laps to go. Top three remains unchanged. Craig Busch, Campbell Marsh, Ryan White, and Finley Herwig, your top seven. Ralph Oberstadt, Keen Clutchogue, and Brandon Butler the second. Starting to present a little bit of a breakaway deeper in the field there, you see. But your top 10 really kind of nose to tail. They have not managed to get too far away from each other, as this could really cycle on the pit stops here tonight as to who gets the win. Chris Jaramillo definitely stinking up the show here so far, as he's led all 20 laps to begin the race. Yet again, folks, I'm sorry. I have the crappiest internet all week this week, so it's been pretty bad, laggy, and just really not sure what the hell is going on. And I don't know how it's looking on the flip side for those that are tuning in. I hope that the presentation still comes off clean. If anyone leaves a comment, let me know how the stream's doing. Let me know, please. I would like to know if it's at least manageable for the most part, because it's telling me drop frames. It's dropping frames like a madman, and that's just not normal, as I have not had troubles with this new internet until mid-March here, like in the last couple days. Yeah, the whole field right now definitely waiting for the pit cycles to play out here, as that should be the big indicator on who's going to seal the deal here at Portland. Still no cautions, no chaos. Obviously a little bit of chaos between teammates, as Chase Kovacic ended up wrecking Violet Void on lap 1 after turn 2. As I mentioned, it's that's definitely gonna raise the ire of Willow Blake, with her teammates taking each other out. every race in this ARCA series is important because it is such a shorter season compared to our trucks, Bridge to Cup and Cup. You do not want to have very many bad races. You've really only got a couple mulligans, and then everyone that's been knocking it out of the park just continues to stretch that lead out on you. So when you've got drivers out there like Jonah Burridge, Finley Herwig, and Ralph Oberstadt, it makes it harder for a team to have a bad race even once throughout this Sigma ARCA campaign. And then also kind of mix in there the drivers that didn't start the first of the season, that have missed a couple races. Especially is Chris Caramillo, who's led every lap so far in his series debut. First ever race, and he has led every lap in his career so far. I mean, obviously that stat's going to go out the window race 2 most likely of his career. But things are trending in the direction right now. 24 laps in, he's led every lap of his Sigma career. And he's had to work for it because Steve Miller continues to keep it interesting right there behind him. Tasha Wright not too far out back. A lot could happen here in the last 30 laps. Gave me a good idea. Thanks for that. I'm going to go ahead and do another through the field here. So obviously your top 3 hasn't changed. You got Craig Bush, Campbell Marsh, Ryan White, Finley Herwig, Ralph Oberstadt, Heen Clutchoke, Brandon Butler II, Santi Messi, Casey Klein, Timothy Buchanan with a 13th so far. So the team's running pretty strong for Finley Herwig there, as they are both in the top 15. Joseph Hayes there with the 14th. Craig Popchris, Taylor Cording, Kaylee Sheets, and Sophie Harwick. Shy Turtle has worked his way up into the top 20. Alex Sanvital, one of the strong truck contenders this season. Struggling a little bit here in ARCA. So not getting the same success on the stock car side of things yet, but it's just a matter of time. Ray Marcus, Billy Lovejoy, Jameson Thole, Hank Scorpio, Dylan Smith, Joao Vitor. Jonah Burridge has made it back up to 27th, trying to minimize the damage done. Cassie Perkins under attack by Donovan Heist right now as they're side by side. Let's follow this battle to completion. It's not very often that you see passes going on the road courses like this. And the 35 fighting back. The 25 of Heist has the disadvantage on the outside line for now. Still has an edge going on to the inside line here, going into the right-hander. But Cassie Perkins stretches it out. And so we continue through our back through the field as Wormy Wormington on the attack now. Don't think that's going to pan out. 65 of AJ Kosnoff, Matthew Hubert, Chasey Plays, Drew Clue, Ace Vaden from the back of the field up to 35th. Johnny Blaney, Bailey Parker, Kyle Ottawa, and Carlos Eduardo. Evan Snake and Chris Jeremio now back with our leaders. Times are really dropping off here as pit stops are definitely looming after halfway. 27 in, 27 to go. And he's about 4 seconds, he's 3.5 seconds off of the pace that he'd been turning earlier in the race. So it's a matter of time now before it comes in for fresh tires and tries to finish this race out on a strong fresh pair of rubbers. Wow, this is a super undercut for Ray Marcus as he pits right at halfway. That means he's going to make it 27 laps and 27 laps on both runs. The leaders, however, might stretch it a little further than that to give themselves a little insurance to stretch it a little further. As you see, none of your leaders pitted, so they're stretching it. 83 keeps sneaking down on the inside of turn 1, trying to find a faster line, and doesn't really have the courage to outbrake the 02 into that first turn. Within the last several years that we come, at least IndyCars come to race here, return to Portland, that turn 1 is beyond treacherous. I mean, be careful because a lot of drivers try to drive it in too hot and go cruising through the bus stop chicane. I know NR right here has fences built into that, but that ain't how it is anymore. So sometimes taking the fence out changes the perspective because they're not afraid of running into a stationary wall at that point. They might keep the throttle in a little hotter than they should, miscalculate their turn, and drive right on through turn 1. Sigma ARCA cars really don't have that safe scape, but it is a tricky turn 1 for a lot of road courses because this is one of your faster straightaways right here, going into a very sharp right hand, almost a blind turn because you can't really see the apex of the next turn until you get aimed in the right direction. Well, it looks like the 89 of Wormy Wormington could be lap traffic fodder here soon. But I'm still thinking lap rather than lap traffic. These leaders are going to have to be concerned about pit stops soon. Oh, there we go. We got some folks taking pit stops here. Or at least exiting pit road. This could throw a wrinkle in the plan, as your leaders are going to have to now deal with lap traffic coming off pit road. It's going to be hard to get Chris Jaramillo to come in and pit first, as I have a feeling he's going to want to try to lead every lap here today at Portland. And it's hard to do when you have road courses with a long green flag run where you've got to pit and sometimes get shuffled out from leading. There's always going to, usually, not always, but most of the time there's someone gets shuffled out to the lead that wouldn't have led a lap otherwise. Still quite a mixed bag on who decides to pit here, as I'm still not seeing a whole lot of takers down pit road. Your leaders have not broken rank yet, as it's pretty much the same from 1st to 15th at the moment. But for those of you that have been tuned in watching, it's going to get interesting here as to how the strategies are all going to pan out. We'll see how long it takes. Jaramillo's going to relinquish the lead here. He ain't going to lead a lap, but the undercut strategy could be perfect here, as coming down pit road first almost guarantees that he'll have fresher tires for longer in this race at the last half. Undercut usually wins you the races at the road courses. And we'll see how it pans out here. Had to give up the ghost of leading every lap in his career. As the 83 is leading. This is definitely the excitement factor of road course racing. As now we're going to have to see where and when the 83 comes in. Current leader, Stephen Miller. And it looks like just about everyone else coming down pit road now. We'll keep it on the bird's eye view here to try and see who the next car to come through outside of the pit road is going to be. Tasha Wright comes in right there behind Stephen Miller, Craig Bush, Campbell Marsh, Ryan White, Finley Herwig, Casey Klein. And I hear a car coming. We'll see who it is. And if that's going to be your new leader. 76 or Ray Marcus, I don't think. Ray Marcus is going to cycle around to the lead here, I believe. This is the guy that pitted on lap 27, mind you. He performed the super undercut, as I called it, as he's pretty much cutting the race in half. Well, with cutting that race in half, that has given him the lead at the moment over Chris Jaramillo and Taylor Cording. Stephen Miller, Tasha Wright, Craig Bush, they're going to have fresher tires for the finish, though, as the drivers that have been out on the new tires are going to burn through them a little quicker. This is definitely one of those topsy-turvy road course moments that you don't often see play out. Ray Marcus is going to have to hold on for dear life. Well, this definitely changes things up. We're going to have to start keeping an eye on whether or not the O2's got enough speed to catch up to the 76 here. Man, lap times looking like Ray Marcus is just a little bit faster than even Chris Jaramillo, Taylor Cording, Stephen Miller, Tasha Wright, Ralph Oberstadt, Campbell Marsh, Craig Bush, Heen Clutchoke, Ryan White, Brandon Butler, Kaylee Sheets. Wow, Finley Herwig drops back to 16th there at the moment, so has a little bit of work to get back up to 7th. The pit strategy did not work swimmingly for some teams here today, as it's kind of put them behind the 8-ball. Ouch! Jonah Burridge has fallen all the way back to 30th. So it seems like Jonah just does not have road course prominence right now. Maybe takes a couple more races to get his road course bearings for him. That's your points leader deep in the field. Now, the big question is whether or not Ray Marcus actually has enough fuel to make to the finish. If he was really only getting about 27 laps worth of fuel out of the car, we'll see. There we go. Chris Jaramillo turned a 1 second faster lap, so looks like he's getting the tires warmed up and trying to roll a little faster. Chris Jaramillo definitely looking a little bit faster now as he's getting a better second wind to try and catch up to the lead here. Taylor Cording kind of lagging around back in third. Stephen Miller just turned his fastest lap of the race, a 1:21.0. Tasha Wright is the only one faster with a 1:20.9 somewhere earlier in the race. Ralph Oberstadt 6th, Campbell Marsh, Craig Bush, Heen Clutchoke, Ryan White, Brandon Butler, Kaylee Sheets, Joseph Hayes, Santi Messi, Finley Herwig, Casey Klein, Sophie Harwick, Timothy Buchanan, Shy Turtle, Craig Popchris, Wormy Wormington, Billy Lovejoy, Alex Sanvital, Jameson Thole, Ace Vaden, Johnny Blaney, Hank Scorpio, Dylan Smith, Joao Vitor, Pace Car, Jonah Burridge, Bailey Parker, Cassie Perkins, Drew Clude, Donovan Heist, Matthew Hubert, Chasey Plays, Kyle Ottawa, Carlos Eduardo, and Evan Snake. I was trying to do my auctioneer rattling off the names there, and it was pretty good about halfway through the field, and then I needed to catch my breath. It was kind of fun, though. As we're down to 13 laps to go, could Ray Marcus really stun the field here tonight at Portland and just show off with a win in fashion? It's definitely pit strategy that could win him this race if he keeps it up. He's definitely on older tires now as the rest of the field's going to start roaring towards him with the fresher rubber. I know I said fall off is not as severe here at Portland. The track not as gritty as some of the older surfaces, like say something like Nürburgring, but it's probably in the middle, somewhere a little, a little abrasive, but also kind of cushy, so that you're not eating up tires for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What we're seeing right now is the 76 starting to fall into the clutches of Chris Jaramillo. With 12 laps to go, that's still a lot of racing, especially on a road course like this where lap times are huge. Chris Jaramillo with a 1:21.8. Ray Marcus with a 1:23.1. So the further that the 76 continues to fall off, the stronger the 02 is going to keep running to catch up to him. Of course, catching, like I've said before, catching the racer is one thing. Passing them is a whole nother question. And Jeremio, I think, as we saw right out of the gate here tonight, making it 3 wide into turn 1, mark my words, he's going to make, if he has the opportunity to make the pass, he's going to make it going into turn 1. He ain't going to mess around with any other spot on the track. If there's only 2 laps to go, he's going to try to make the pass into turn 1 to get the lead and ultimately try to win this sucker. Sigma officials are going to have to keep an eye out for mechanical failures. If we have an engine failure that would merit a caution, we would throw a caution for oil down on track. Really has not been a mechanical failure here at Portland altogether today. And just a couple of teammates wrecking each other on lap 1. That's about the only drama that we saw. And the time is now, as the 02 of Chris Jeremio has caught up to Ray Marcus. It might not even wait till the final 2 laps. But I said it, mark my words, he's going to make the move going into turn 1. And he tried. Oh boy, he tried, but I don't think he's going to try again until next lap. He's going to kind of settle in and follow the 76, save his tires a little bit. I'm liking the 02, the line that he's running a little better than the 76. It seems a little bit wider, a little bit smoother, and all over quicker. And the only other spot that you can really make a pass here at Portland is the backstretch. She'd make a fool of me if he makes a pass going down the backstretch into the last segment of turns here. And he's going to try it. He's up there right on his back bumper, roaring down the backstretch here at Portland. It's a very narrow backstretch, though, and a very technical set of turns here. His next passing opportunity is going to be roaring into turn 1 as he is just mapping his front bumper to the back bumper of the 76. And here we go. The 02 goes wide, roaring down the front stretch. It's side by side, heading into turn 1. And there you have it, folks. I said he was going to attempt to make the move. Is he going to be able to close the deal? It looks like he's going to have the advantage. The 02, Chris Jeremio, back to the lead here tonight at Portland. And he did it smoothly and in style. Now a little bit further in the distance, Taylor Cording falling victim to the 83 of Stephen Miller, 90 of Tasha Wright, and the 78 of Ralph Oberstadt. Still looking to see where our driver that often finishes 7th is at. Ouch, what happened to the 68? Did I just miss him? I must have missed him. I had to have. There we go, 15th. I was rifling through a little too quickly, evidently. So, Finley Herwig, last race winner at Dover, shuffle out of the running for 7th here at the moment. Still a good points day regardless. A 15th is going to look better than a 30th that his competition looking like he's going to get here today. Now this is on the lines of a Shane Van Gisbergen win in NASCAR as I've ever seen here in Sigma ARCA. I mean, there's only a few drivers that ever make their first career start Especially you roll into the second race, and it's pretty much the same 42 drivers from race 1 of an entire series when the series was conceived, I guess, created. And so, yeah, the only opportunity usually is for one driver in a field of 42. Sometimes at the start of a season, you might have about 5 or 6 newcomers to their respective series and whatnot. But this is a very interesting standout as Chris Jaramillo making his first career Sigma ARCA Series start here at Portland. Race number 6 on the calendar of 26. And the rest of the field, I would have to look back at the stats, but he would be the first that comes to mind for me on the ARCA side of things, getting their first career win in their first career start. He will join a group of drivers such as our Bridge to Cup winners last year of Cooper Dwight and Jimmy Logano. And think about, I'd have to do more research because I don't do all my research sometimes when it comes to stats like this, and I should, because it's kind of the fun part about doing this series is compiling all the stats over the years. There's got to be at least a couple Cup drivers that have made a win in their series debut. I know that there's a few I can name off the top of my head, such as Adam Levine, Scott Dixon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., to name a few, when we allowed real-life drivers and even musicians, of all things, in our Sigma series. 15 years of Sigma Cup. It's been a long one, but we've got a lot of history rolling into 2025 here. And we're going to be down to just 6 laps to go around Portland now, as Chris Jaramillo has led a staggering, probably about 30 of the 47 laps so far. Second place, Ray Marcus for now, holding off Stephen Miller. It looks like Miller's going to try to make the move going into Turn 1 as well. Turn 1 is a very high commodity passing zone here at Portland, and he's going to get the job done. It looks like Ray Marcus on a lot older tires. He was able to at least convert it into laps led here today, but not an overall win. Plus, at least he's going to manage a better finishing position than, I want to say he was probably a mid-20s car here today from the drop of the flag. So if we go back to like lap 2. Yeah, 21st. So Marcus was a mid-pack driver all day, used the pit strategy to his advantage, and was able to lead laps and probably net gain about 15 spots by the end of this one. So huge improvement out of that 76 camp for testing the waters here. I'm still waiting to see the moment we get a person passing on the backstretch. It could happen, and it would be pretty dicey if someone tries to push the envelope there. Whoa! Tasha Wright gives him a bit of a bump, kind of moves him out of the way like a bulldozer there. The faster car wanted to prevail, so Ray Marcus getting a bump, and now he is in a hornet's nest here with 6 laps to go. Ralph Oberstadt driving around him. Marsh on the attack. This is more exciting than watching the front of the field with our leader. Marcus at this point just desperately hoping he can hang on for a top 10 as everyone swarming around him here. He's going to have a little bit of breathing room as Campbell gets by him. And then it will be the 18th car there of Craig Busch. Taylor Cording behind him. Keen Clutchoke. Ryan White is in 10th. Brandon Butler, Kaylee Sheets, Joseph Hayes, Santi Messi, and Finley Herwig still your top 15. Well, I didn't think I would see a pass in the very technical half the tail end of the track. That was a dicey move, but Tasha made it work. It had been announced just a couple weeks ago that Tasha got the call to run full-time in Cup. She's going to commit to finishing out the ARCA campaign this year and at least fight for what championship could be on the line here for her. But also Cup, she's having a strong season and could be in the mix for some wins over there on the Cup side. So up to third here tonight. She's going to have a strong finish here at Portland. Hopes and wishes are with James that he's doing all right. Sounded like he had a trip to the ER. Get better, buddy. I don't know if you saw the race yesterday, but you ended up winning the Cup race with Tom Cording if you're happening to watch this after any replays or something. So, but yeah, we're definitely thinking about you, buddy. Stay safe and get healthy. Down to 3 laps to go. Chris Jaramillo. All he's got to do is kind of close out the deal now. Stephen Miller, Tasha Wright. Tasha with the faster lap of your top 3 right now. Is it going to be enough, though? Ooh, 65 of Kosnoff had a camshaft failure. Missed that one. So Tasha's going to have to make up about 2 seconds every lap for the final 3 laps here. It's definitely a tough gamble, but anything could happen, especially with your leader. This is one of the reasons why I love the Sigma ARCA series. It's always so unpredictable. I mean, tonight, I don't even think I had an inkling of suspicion. I didn't even expect that this was possible. That Chris Jaramillo, right out of the gates, and I mean, even from the start of the race, qualifying third, it's like, okay, he's going to settle in line and have a good race tonight. No, he made it 3 wide going into turn 1 because he had the drive, the determination to make this happen today. And you're looking at it paying off in droves as he's just got 2 more laps around Portland. And this is what keeps me coming back for more, bringing you guys these exciting ARCA races week after week. These are the stars of the Sigma series to come for the future. 76 of Marcus still under attack. It looks like he's going to fall back to maybe 10th now. So, yeah, it might be about a net gain 5 spots by the end of this. If he was 21st before the pit stop, might be able to argue that it was just better to stick on the schedule that he was going to go with the other guys. But I think he's still going to maybe get a net gain here at least. Ooh, Santi Messi lost the spot as Finley Herwig moved up to 14th. Now he's just got to cut through half more of the 14 drivers to get back up to 7th. And that could happen if 76 holds up traffic here. That could open up some windows for a few of the drivers behind. Kaylee Sheets running right up on the back bumper of the 76. We saw Tasha make a bump and run here. Kaylee not quite in the bump and run territory, but pretty close. It almost looked like Finley Herwig almost gave Joseph Hayes a bit of a punch there. As we're down to the final couple laps here. 1 lap and then the white flag. Yeah, there's a lot of movement now within the top 15. As Finley Herwig is going to make a pass here on Joseph Hayes, and then he's going to have an opportunity to get by the 76. He could be back up into the top 10 here shortly. He's already back up to 12th as he knocks off 2 spots there. And we already know the 54 of Taylor Cording is struggling on pace here at the end with the older tires. Chris Jaramillo has a demanding lead as his lap times have fallen significantly off the fast times here today. There ain't going to be any cautions here today at Portland. It's going to go green to green all the way to the checkers as Jaramillo comes down the front stretch for the second to last time here today. White flag waving in the air. Rolling down the front stretch. In second, you got Steve Miller, Tasha Wright, Ralph Oberstadt, Campbell Marsh, Craig Bush, Heen Clutchoke, Ryan White. Thought about making a move there on Clutchoke, but didn't. Here comes Butler on Taylor Cording for 9th. Side by side, that's going to slow him up a little bit. That'll give Kaylee Sheets and Finley Herwig a chance to catch up to that 54 car. Let's roll back to the front as they come around for the last time here today. And down the backstretch in his series debut, Sigma ARCA racer, race 1 of 1 in his career, the number 02 target entry for Calvin Steele Racing. That Chevrolet SS has not put a wheel wrong here tonight at Portland. As he comes around the last turn and down the front stretch now. Smooth sailing as Chris Jaramillo joins the series and wins his first career race in his first career start here at Portland. What a storyline finish here today, folks. Miller, Wright, Tosh Wright with a third, Ralph Oberstadt with another top 5, Campbell Marsh with a top 5, Craig Bush, Heen Clutchoke, Ryan White, Brandon Butler in 9th. And these last drivers just barely caught to Taylor Cording there. Cording gets a top 10, leaving the others to finish top 15 behind her. Kaylee Sheets, she gets an 11th. Finley Herwig with a 12th. Joseph Hayes 13th. Casey Klein 14th. And Santi Messi 15th. Ray Marcus gambled, and I'd say he came out a little bit better than where he was running. He turned a 21st place run into a laps-led 16th place finish by the end of the day. Sophie Harwick, Craig Popcris, Timothy Buchanan, Billy Lovejoy, Shy Turtle, Wormy Wormington, Alex Sanvital, Jamison Thole, Ace Vaden, Dylan Smith, Joe Alvitor, Hank Scorpio. Jonah Burridge comes back up for a 29th. Cassie Perkins, 30th. Johnny Blaney, Drew Clue, Bailey Parker, Matthew Hubert, Donovan Heist, Chasey Plays, Kyle Ottawa, Carlos Eduardo, and Evan Snake. The big winner tonight here is Chris Jaramillo, who led probably more than half the laps here today. Easily led more than half the laps. Led the first 30 before pitting. And then still came back to outperform the rest and win it all.
have that same ignition problem.
Brake sensor went off.
Well, congratulations to Chris Jeremio on getting the job done here today at Portland. That was definitely one hell of a race here, as we saw a lot transpire. A lot of ups, a lot of downs to take out of this race here, and ultimately it's going to be about a month break now before we get back into the Sigma ARCA series. So these drivers get to catch their breath, catch their collective breath, and then we'll get back to racing at Pikes Peak on April 10th in the Sigma ARCA series. So they've earned themselves a nice month-long spring break from the racing action. We do have one more race within the next day or so. I don't know when I'll get to it. Maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. But with the Bridge to Cup series that I had scheduled for the 25th, we do have one of our ARCA drivers that's going to be making an attempt there, Finley Herwig, who we've been keeping our spotlight on here at the road course today at Portland. So Finley Herwig going to try to roll the dice in Bridge to Cup in his first career Bridge to Cup start after getting the win at Dover just a week ago. So, well, with that, folks, wraps up Portland here for tonight. Hopefully all enjoyed it. And get the points. I'll get points tallied up and posted here tonight before I go to bed. And we can all see who the new points leader is. It could very well be Jonah Burridge after a top 5 run versus... No, let me rephrase that. It could very well be Ralph Oberstadt, who switched rides pretty much because the 45 used to be Jonah Burridge, 78 Jonah Burridge last year, blah, blah, whatever. And it's funny part that it's between those two drivers, Ralph Oberstadt or Jonah Burridge. Jonah Burridge in the 45 this year, who was in the 78 last year, but Ralph Oberstadt took over his seat for Commonwealth Racing in the ARCA series here. So we'll see whether or not one or the other with the points lead after Portland. So with that, folks, I bid you all a good night. Stay safe out there. Get well, James. And with everyone else, keep safe. Have fun. Have a great weekend. And until next time, we'll see you out there. This is Jakester signing out.